The moment you try to make everyone comfortable is the moment you just handed them permission to disrespect you. You think you're being kind. They see weakness, and they're already calculating how much they can take. You don't realize it, but they do, instantly. If you've ever felt that the kinder you are, the more you get disrespected, stay with this video. And if you don't want to keep being the person everyone uses without anyone saying it out loud, hit follow. Not for me. For the version of you that's about to emerge. The world doesn't reward kindness. The world evaluates position. Every interaction you have is a status check. A quiet negotiation where both parties are calculating who has leverage, who has options, and who can be pushed. Nobody asks if you're a good person. They only read one thing. Do you have boundaries, or don't you? Think about the last time it happened. You helped them when they needed it most. You listened when they were falling apart at 2 in the morning. You texted first. You showed up. You never disappeared. And then, when you needed one small thing, they're busy. Not even a real excuse. Just, I can't right now, with no follow-up. And you sit there, staring at your phone, realizing you're not even worth a lie. No argument, no dramatic betrayal, just silence. That hollow, gut-wrenching silence that tells you exactly where you stand. And in that moment, you realize you were never their equal. You were their option. Here's the belief that's keeping you stuck. The belief that if you're kind, you'll be valued. The belief that if you understand others, they'll understand you back. Let me destroy that for you right now. Kindness without boundaries is not perceived as goodness. It's perceived as availability, as flexibility, as someone who can be used, pressured, and discarded without consequence. The world doesn't see your kindness as strength. It sees it as submission. Machiavelli once wrote that men rarely attack those who make them afraid, but they always attack those who make them comfortable. This isn't about morality. This is about instinct. Human beings are wired to test limits, to find soft spots, to exploit what's freely given, because deep down, we don't value what costs us nothing. If it's always there, it's never valued. If you're always available, you're never a priority. Power comes from boundaries, not from kindness. Let that sink in. Not from how much you give, not from how patient you are, not from how understanding you can be, from boundaries. From the ability to say no without apology, to withdraw without explanation, to refuse without guilt. So why do you keep falling into this trap? Why do so many good people end up as the most disrespected? Let's break it down. Your brain treats no like a threat. Biology. Society trained you that nice equals safe. Conditioning. And you tied your worth to being needed. Identity. 3 locks keeping you trapped. And every person who uses you has the key. Your nervous system doesn't distinguish between saying no to a coworker and being exiled from the tribe. To your body, they're the same threat. So when someone asks something of you, cortisol floods your system, your throat tightens. Your mind races through every worst-case scenario. And to stop that feeling, you say yes, not because you want to, because your biology hijacked your decision. From the moment you could talk, you were conditioned. Teachers praised you for sharing. Parents rewarded you for not making waves. Be nice, be polite, don't make anyone uncomfortable. And it worked. You avoided conflict. You kept the peace. You were liked. But here's what they didn't tell you. Society rewards agreeableness in the short term and punishes it in the long term. The person who's always available is never respected. The thing that's always there is never valued. Consistency creates contempt. Scarcity creates value. And then there's identity. For many of you, being kind isn't just a behavior, it's who you think you are. You've built your entire sense of self around being the person others can rely on. The helper, the listener, the one who never lets anyone down. So when you think about setting a boundary, it doesn't just feel uncomfortable. It feels like betrayal, like you're becoming someone you're not, like you're losing yourself. But here's the truth. You never had yourself to begin with. You had a role. and that role is killing you. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Someone dumps extra work on you at the last minute. The old you says, "I'm really swamped, but I can try to fit it in. I'm sorry. I know this is important. I just have so much on my plate already, but I'll see what I can do." You explain. You apologize. You sacrifice. And what does that communicate? That your time is negotiable, that your limits are flexible, that if they push hard enough, you'll fold. The new you says, "I can't take that on right now, period. No apology, no explanation, no opening for negotiation, just a clean boundary." And watch what happens. They recalibrate instantly. Not because they respect you more, because they fear losing access. That's power. That's what boundaries do. They force people to treat you differently because suddenly there's something at stake. Here's another one. Someone makes a subtle dig at you in a group setting. The old you laughs it off. You smile. You let it slide because you don't want to make it a thing. But every time you do that, you're teaching them that disrespect has no cost. The new you doesn't explode, doesn't argue, doesn't defend. You just pause. Let the awkwardness hang in the air. And then you say, very calmly, "No, I'm selective about that." Stop. Read that again. I'm selective about that. 4 words that rewrite your entire social contract. That's it. No explanation, no justification, just a statement of fact. And suddenly, the dynamic shifts. Because you're no longer performing the role of the person who absorbs everything. You're now the person who decides what gets through. You're no longer reacting. You're setting terms. You don't need to be harsh. You don't need to be cruel. You just need to be firm. There's a massive difference between being nice and being weak. Nice with boundaries is strength. Nice without boundaries is suicide. Social suicide. This isn't about communication tactics. This is about the moment you step out of the role of the person who makes everyone else comfortable and step into the role of the person who makes everyone else adjust. That shift is everything. Because when you stop managing other people's emotions, when you stop padding your truth with apologies, when you stop earning the right to have needs, something fundamental changes. You stop being forgettable. You stop being background. You become someone people have to consider. Kindness after boundaries is power. Kindness before boundaries is self-destruction. Write that down. Tattoo it on your brain. Because the order matters. If you lead with kindness, you'll attract people who see you as a resource. If you lead with boundaries, you'll attract people who see you as a person. Now, let's talk about what happens when you make this shift. You will be called cold. You will be told you've changed. People who benefited from your weakness will act offended by your strength. They'll say, "You're not yourself anymore." And they're right. You're not. You're better. You've stopped being the version of you that everyone else needed, and you've become the version of you that you need. And here's the strange part. The people who truly respect you won't flinch. They'll adjust. They'll recalibrate. They'll treat you differently, better, because now there's actually something to lose. The ones who get angry, the ones who complain that you've changed, those are the ones who were using you, and their discomfort is your confirmation that you're doing it right. You'll notice something else too. People will start being more careful around you. They'll think twice before asking for favors. They'll watch their tone. They'll test less. Not because you're mean, because you're no longer safe to disrespect. And that quiet shift, that unspoken recalibration, is worth more than 1,000 arguments you could have won. But here's what most people don't understand. Setting boundaries isn't a one-time event. It's a practice. It's a muscle you have to build. Every time you're about to explain yourself, when you don't owe an explanation, you're weakening that muscle. Every time you apologize for having a limit, you're training people to see your boundaries as negotiable. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you're teaching the world that your word doesn't mean anything. So how do you actually build this muscle? Start small. Start with the low-stakes interactions. When someone asks, "Can you do this?" and you don't want to, say, "I can't." Not, "I can't because." just "I can't." Notice the urge to fill the silence with justification. Resist it. Let the silence do the work. Watch how people respond. Most of them will just accept it. Because they're not actually interrogating you, they're testing whether they can. Then move to the medium-stake stuff. When someone crosses a line, don't store it. Don't forgive it silently and resent it later. Address it immediately, not aggressively, just clearly. That doesn't work for me. I'm not doing that. Let's not go there. Simple, direct, final. You're not asking for permission to have a boundary. You're announcing a fact. And eventually, you get to the high-stakes moments. The relationships that have been one-sided for years. The people who only call when they need something. The dynamics where you've been carrying all the weight. Those are the hardest. Because you've trained these people to expect your compliance. So, when you finally push back, they'll act shocked. They'll make you feel like you're the problem. Don't buy it. Their shock is just proof of how much they were taking. Here's the thing about power dynamics. They're invisible until they're challenged. You can go years in a relationship, thinking it's mutual, thinking it's balanced, and then the moment you stop giving, you see the truth. The moment you stop initiating, they disappear. The moment you stop solving their problems, they resent you. That's not a relationship, that's a transaction. And you were the one getting screwed. But when you start setting boundaries, when you start protecting your energy, when you start choosing yourself, watch how fast things clarify. The people who were there for you will stay. The people who were there for what you could do will leave. And that sorting process, that's not loss, that's clarity, that's freedom. Let me tell you what nobody else will. The version of you that everyone loves, the one who's always available, always understanding, always there, that's not you. That's a performance. That's a survival strategy you built to avoid rejection. And it worked for a while. You avoided conflict. You kept the peace. You were liked, but you were never respected. And deep down, you knew it. Respect doesn't come from what you give. It comes from what you're willing to withhold, from what you refuse to tolerate, from the lines you draw and defend. And yes, defending those lines will cost you. Some people will leave. Some situations will get uncomfortable. Some relationships will end. But the ones that survive, those are the ones that were real. Those are the ones worth having. So here's the choice in front of you right now. You can keep being the person everyone feels comfortable disrespecting. The person who absorbs the chaos, manages the emotions, carries the weight. The person who's always there until the moment they finally break. Or you can become the person who makes people think twice. The person who has limits. The person who values their own time, energy, and peace as much as they value everyone else's. One path keeps you safe, the other makes you powerful, and you cannot have both. If you're ready to stop being used, if you're ready to stop explaining yourself to people who don't respect you anyway, if you're ready to trade being liked for being respected, this channel is for you. I'm not here to make you feel better. I'm here to make you dangerous. And here's the last thing no one will tell you. The people who love you for your boundaries will love you harder than anyone who loved you for your compliance ever could. Because real relationships don't require you to shrink. They don't demand that you sacrifice yourself to keep them alive. They expand when both people have limits. They deepen when both people have self-respect. And they last because they're built on truth, not performance. Subscribe if you're ready for that. If you're not, that's fine too. Just don't be surprised when nothing changes. And don't come back in 6 months wondering why you're still everyone's backup plan. The world doesn't change, you do. And the moment you decide you're worth protecting is the moment everything shifts. You've been conditioned to believe that boundaries make you difficult, that having standards makes you demanding, that protecting yourself makes you selfish. But the truth is the opposite. The people who accuse you of being selfish for having boundaries are the same people who are being selfish by ignoring them. The people who say you've changed are the same people who benefited from you staying small. And the discomfort they feel, that's not your responsibility to fix. Your job is not to make everyone comfortable. Your job is not to be endlessly available. Your job is not to prove your worth by how much you can endure. Your job is to protect your peace, guard your energy, and build a life where your presence is valued, not taken for granted. And if that makes some people uncomfortable, good. Let them be uncomfortable. That discomfort is data. It's showing you exactly who was there for the real you and who was there for what you could provide. The shift from being used to being respected doesn't happen overnight. It's not one conversation. It's not one boundary. It's a series of small decisions that compound over time. Every time you choose yourself, you strengthen that muscle. Every time you say no without guilt, you rewire your brain. Every time you walk away from what doesn't serve you, you raise your standards. And eventually, without even realizing it, you've become someone entirely different. Someone who doesn't tolerate disrespect. Someone who doesn't negotiate their worth. Someone who doesn't apologize for taking up space. That's who you're becoming. Not perfect, not flawless, not without conflict, but solid, grounded, unshakable. And the people who were testing you, using you, taking advantage of you, they'll either step up or step out. Either way, you win. This is not a self-help channel. This is not about positive thinking or manifesting or becoming a better version of yourself for other people. This is about power, real power. The kind that doesn't need to announce itself. The kind that shows up in how you move through the world, in how you respond when someone tries to push your limits. In the quiet confidence that says, I know what I'm worth and I'm not negotiating. So if you're done being the person everyone feels entitled to, hit that subscribe button. Not because I need the numbers, because you need the reminder. Every video on this channel will challenge something you were taught to believe. Every script will give you language you didn't know you needed, and every principle will demand that you choose yourself over comfort. Welcome to the shift. It starts now.